everyone. It's Friday. We have a repeat guest now. Super dad, creator of Hour of the Dad.
Yes.
Fellow Italian, Nicky the Good. I'm going to call you Nicky Cutlets, though. We can get into the beef later about it, but I'm going to decide who I call Cutlets. It's going to be a precious thing for me. How's it going?
It's going great. I couldn't be better. I'm honored and a privilege to be here yet again. The Italians are taking over. I'm sure we're going to get into it. I'm sure that's part of the reason I'm on the show here. Yeah. But I'm fired up. I'm fired up to be here, Steph.
Before we talk about the Italians, DeVito, there's a lot to talk about. We got to get to jarred sauce. There's a lot of things I need to talk to you about. How's fantasy championships treating you?
It's not treating me because Travis Kelce is an abomination.
Okay, yes.
I drafted him 5th overall. Then that absolute witch came into the picture. And basically, I think he went over 20 points once the entire year. He was an apparition. He didn't exist. He was probably the 3rd best player on my team at this point. And I lost by 8 points. You'd want more than 6 points in the the semifinals from Travis Kelce, but I didn't get it. So I'm out. I got nothing. My dynasty team went down in flames. So, that's it.
You know what's going to really piss you off this week? And I know you tried to make me feel better yesterday.
Yes.
Kelce's going to have a career week. It's going to be awful.
It's going to be a monster week. He's going to put other fantasy teams, not mine, on his back, and he's going to get them a championship. Probably multiple touchdowns. You're gonna get Taylor in the box, going crazy, dropping F-bombs, being disgusting.
Holding hands with the other Mahomes. I don't know where Jackson's been. We haven't seen much of him these days.
Well, they can't put him on TV.
You can't put him on TV, but now we got Taylor, so everything's a little bit better now. Yeah, I hope Kelce doesn't do fucking shit for me. So I hope that Taylor puts something in the cinnamon rolls that she's been. Listen, okay. What do Italians? That's how I'm going to say it from now on. What do they make before football games? Like if you wanted something before a football game, because cinnamon rolls is it's so Taylor Swift.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. No. I mean, for me, growing up, it would always be just like Sunday, it'd just be halftime. Like if it's a 1 o'clock game, we would push it out to halftime, and as soon it was timed, so that as soon as how much longer? Oh, we're here right now. Like it's we got 4 minutes to go. Like you start boiling, or something like that, and then by the time you all sit down, you're eating the main course, and then we would go back for the second half. That's kind of how we did it. Wasn't a huge spread growing up. If it was like a Super Bowl, something like that, my dad would typically go and make a 6-foot hero. He would go and make a 6-foot hero. Broccoli Rob, grilled chicken, with the red roasted peppers. That was kind of a go-to in my house growing up. Yeah.
Sundays were always growing up. All I remember is the New York Giants not sucking ass like they do now and eating meatballs and pasta. That was Sundays. Everyone just, we sat on the couch. We got really full. Then you sat on the couch. Grandma Nona would force you to eat some dessert. Then you go back to the couch, watch the Giants, and then you go back for seconds. That was Sundays.
True. Well, I'm a little bit older than you. I mean, I look it.
True. That's
a little bit older. Okay. So I went through a few rough years growing up. It wasn't sunshine and rainbows for me. A lot of Dave Brown, a lot of rough. Obviously, with the whole Eli run and everything, I was in, college, post-college, right in that era. So that was great. But growing up as a kid where I was still eating with my family, it was doom and gloom, brother. Doom and gloom nonstop in the old Good household, you could say.
Is your entire family Giants fans?
Yes, my entire family is Giants fans. I don't have any, there's no crosstown anything in my family across the board. So everyone is exactly the same deal.
Yeah, I don't really vibe with that. So DeVito, we'll just talk about it. We got to talk about him, right? You have his jersey. We'll get into it. I can't believe
I have 2 jerseys. I have 2. I have one that's an actual, not a full blown authentic, but it's as close to an authentic as but this one is more just for my bits, for the bits.
Okay, talk me through the emotions then, because being Italian, I'm not 100% Italian. Are you 100% Italian?
I'm not even going to answer that question. I'm just going to.
Fine. Whatever. That's fine. All right. Don't embarrass me on my own show. Yes. 100% Italian. So walk me through the emotions of Tommy DeVito coming out. Giants season once again is very disappointing, as expected at this point. We're kind of used to it at this point. But then here comes your Italian prince. Is he a king, prince? I don't know what you want to call him.
He's a prince because
Okay.
he's a child to me. Like, I'm much older. So
You're a kid.
I cannot call him a king. But what I will say is that the Giants season, as I predicted when I was on here the first time, I said it was going to go up in flames. You need to go back and watch that clip. I pretty much said, like, I expect things to get worse. And they did. Whether it was because of injury or not, it went terribly. But then once Tommy, see, that's the thing, the beauty about New York sports. We don't necessarily need to always win to be very, very interested in what's going on, if that makes sense, right? Like, I really want the DeVito thing in here, but I got to center myself.
It's all right. Come on, I know we don't want producer Ryan.
That's just the producer in me. But in New York sports, we like to rally around something. So naturally, you get an Italian people. I don't really think people understand like what fell into our laps here, just in terms of an abysmal season. The kid lives at home. He's Italian. His last name is DeVito, right? Like, he's from Jersey, and he's the quarterback for the New York Giants, and we just so happen to win some games. Like, just everyone wants to write it off. I'm like, you cannot make that up. Like that, and for me, being someone that was brought to New Jersey by my illustrious wife, she brought me here because I'm from Brooklyn, just to clear that up. For me, I'm like, this kid's from Jersey. Like, I'm just gonna, me. If I see something, I can just jump on that bandwagon. I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. I'm just going to squeeze it out. So,
well, you commit all the way, which I appreciate. He is like the epitome of, though I will say, I lived in Jersey for a couple of years. He is like, you want to know what the dating pool is like there? It's Tommy DeVito's, except they don't play in the NFL. Like, it's a lot of Tommy DeVito going on.
Yeah,
living at home with mom. I don't knock him for it though.
No, you got to be saving that money. I mean, how old is he? What is he? 20 something?
Can't be old. Yeah, can't be older than what, 22?
Yeah, he's a kid.
Everyone's 22 to me now.
You should be living at home because you're gonna be broke if you're not.
Yeah,
like that's just what it is. Like, if you could live at home with your parents as long as you can. This is me as the dad. Okay, I'm gonna take off the other gimmick. Here's the dad gimmick. If you're watching this right now, right, you're a young man, young woman, and you have the ability to stay home. Don't be stupid. I know you want to be an independent person. I know you want to go out there and think that you own the world and who runs the world. You don't. Save your money. Get some cash in the bank. And then if you have that luxury, take it as long as you can and then move out. You can have the rest of your life to be paying bills. Okay? So don't try and start paying bills until you got to do them, because I got bills at the ass.
Yeah.
All right, I got 2 kids. I got a beautiful wife.
You got
badass house. Shit costs money. So save your cash.
It costs money. DeVito,
yes.
So got benched. I'm pretty sure you referred to in one of your tweets. I think you called Dable a rat bastard.
Yeah,
if I am not incorrect, he is what did you call him? A rat bastard?
But you got to say it right. You got to say a rat bastard, like
bastard.
That.
Yeah.
That's how my Uncle Anthony would always say it. Like, he'd always spit at the TV and call someone a bastard.
I feel like a lot of that happens, especially when there's like some family fighting going on. Like, it's always very intense. There's a lot of emotion behind it. So there's a lot of emotion behind this tweet. You were disgusted.
Yeah, I was.
How do you feel now? He's gone.
It's kind of tough for me because, I was strapping my rocket onto that kid. You know what I mean? Like, I had a lot invested in these games. They were a lot of fun for me. But sometimes you just need to know when things need to come to an end. And I think if they would just if we would have gone a few more weeks though, it would have soured it a bit. I do think the memory, we have those few weeks. They were great. Media was great. Everyone's talking about him. Listen, deep down, I probably knew he wasn't going to be the franchise QB, right? But it doesn't mean I'm not going to say that out loud, right? So tough for me to take it in, being an Italian. But we had a run. They're always going to try and get rid of us. They're never going to let the Italians, they're never going to let us do our thing for that long. Everyone's trying to take us down.
Yeah. What's with that? You know what? I will not knock him for going and trying to make as much money as he possibly can right now.
No, not at all. Why would you knock someone? Why would you knock someone?
Listen, it makes so much sense. Everything about it makes sense. You play in New Jersey. You're Italian. DeVito, like you're walking into a horrible situation. A poverty I'm going to call us poverty franchise right now, which is probably, there's going to be other people that say you saw super fine. Right now, we are poverty, in my opinion.
Yes, we're a team that just needs something to root for. Yeah. Like, that's what we're looking for, and that's the bottom of the barrel as a sports fan. It's like, when you need to look for things to look for because your team is so bad, that's actually the worst possible scenario you could be in, right?
Yeah, it's awful. I'm saying this out loud, everyone. Do you agree? I'm not saying, maybe I won't. I'm not going to say it fully out loud. True or false? There are no QB1s on the Giants roster.
Oh, that's a stone cold truth.
Yeah.
Like stone cold. Like,
yeah.
I mean, listen, you look around the league and you know who's gonna be there at the end. QB1 needs to be taken really seriously.
Yeah.
Derek Carr is not a QB1, right? Like he is replaceable, right? He's not. Like these guys that are signing these monster contracts, your boy included, Danny, like they're not that great. But the thing is, it's such a hard position to fill. And I'm not saying anything. This ain't rocket science, folks.
Right.
But like, if you're not one of it, like that's why there's only like really 7 elite quarterbacks in the entire world that could play in the NFL. Think about that. Like we got 30-something teams, 32 teams or whatever, and we got to fill all these teams with elite quarter. We can't do it. That's why you have another Italian savior come in and save the day, Joe Flacco right now. Of course he's Italian. Like what else needs there to be done? You know, if Joe Burrow, if he would just cut the W off, there you go. If Joe Burrow would just cut the W off his name, guy wouldn't have torn his ACL, wouldn't have blown up his leg.
Okay.
It's dumb.
So I hate to pin your Italians against each other, but I'm going to do it. So I tweeted out about how I found a very disturbing stat. Very disturbing. So I want you to just buckle in. This isn't going to be a comfortable. This is not going to be comfortable. Okay, DeVito, last 3 games, right? 390 yards. I don't know how many Flacco has had in the last 3 games.
In the last 3 games? Flacco, I'm going to say 1,100.
I mean, damn close. Like just over 1,000, 1,051. Flacco's played 4 games this season.
I know the stat. I know it's coming. I know what the stat you're going with.
1,300 yards. Okay, DeVito, 8 games. Looking at, almost pushing that 1,100.
They're a different team, there's different scheme, We're trying to control the clock, control the ball.
Are we pro Flacco then? We're very.
I mean, definitely. I mean, I love Joey Flax. Even just the whole video I saw with him with his kids, and like I tweeted about it, and having your kids with your name on the back is probably like, you just get choked up with that. But coming into a city like Cleveland, like these people are just dying for anything. Another team
poverty. Like if we want to be fucking for real, like
looking for anything, any ray of hope. And it's in this 30. Like everyone's like, oh man, he's my age, 38 years old, right? But you read the other stat. Flacco is like I think is thrown for more touchdowns than the Giants and the Jets too. Yeah. Both teams, he has more touchdowns than either team does, respectively. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, Stafford's had more passing touchdowns than the Giants in the last fucking 5 weeks. So the Giants are not impressive. They're very painful. But I will admit, was it fun to watch the Eagles get a little exposed there? Like, what are you guys doing? How are you guys almost letting this game slip?
I'm very torn.
Okay.
Very torn when it comes to these Giant games right now.
Okay.
Because the Eagles, man, you just hate. Like I hate them more than the Cowboys.
Yeah,
like a lot, significantly more. Yeah. It's just geography. Like you live closer to people from Philly, and those people are trash. We all know that. But you want to win. Like I want to win so bad those games, especially given the circumstances and everything. They're falling apart. They had a big lead, whatever. And but man, like. We should not be winning these games. Like even with Tommy, if you look back at my tweets the first week, I'm like, thank God this guy's here because he's so bad we're not going to win another game. I made a full rant in the gym parking lot about it.
Italian savior.
And then we started winning. And listen, in hindsight, like would I rather have the Tommy DeVito run or the Giants have not won another game? If I'm using my brain, I'm saying I wish we never won a game. I wish we never won a game. But if I'm using my heart, and my sauce.
We're gonna get to the sauce. Last question on Flacco. So you mentioned you guys are similar in age.
Yeah.
Don't you think there's a little bit, and maybe I'm just being a little negative. I said on the show Wednesday, if he had another game over 300 yards, I'd buy in. But at some point, like his body is sore, right? Like, I mean, I'm 8 years younger than him, and I have a glass of wine, and I want to just like lay in bed all day and cry. So like,
I mean, what I'll say is that like definitely when you get over 35, things start changing a little bit in terms of like recovery. But you got to remember, man, these people got the best of the best, and they get to do something that no one else gets to
yeah,
do. So like adrenaline's the best drug sometimes. And I got to think he's in more pain than we could ever imagine after the game. It's got to be absolutely
and you think he didn't play the whole season, so he's kind of coming off like a little bit of rest too. It's almost like this Foles-esque type scenario in some ways.
I mean, listen, that to me is the most concerning thing, that he hasn't been like getting smashed yet. But that's what I worry about. Like, what happens when the blind side hit comes? What, and then what happens to the Browns? What the hell do they do then? So I'm right now. I'm the Browns. I am fully on board with them. Like, I would be lying if I said I did not bring up on the old, Amazon, the old,
No.
Trying to buy a little Joe Flacco jersey with the Browns, get it going, get some skits going, go over Millie again on the bird,
I think you need to make a jersey collection of like the greatest Italian athletes.
I did Google before I got on with you. I did Google, Italian quarterbacks just to kind of see the lay of the land there. And there's a bunch of some, but basically, if you have a vowel at the end of your name, I'll throw you in there. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, love it. Okay, let's talk about jarred sauce.
Okay.
So I feel like, I know we're trying to get as much money as we can. God bless DeVito and the whole thing, but like jarred sauce.
Yeah, I thought it was a big time miss. It was a big time miss. Now, it's not a miss from a monetary standpoint because the kid needed to make money. Listen, he knew it. We all knew it. The agent was doing his best job. He was on PMT. He was doing his best job to make it seem like this kid legitimately, was a player here. So he just went for the big dollars. I mean, Rayo's is probably the
closest you're gonna get to like.
It's the closest you're gonna get to the big time. It's like you say, it's the Nike, it's the whatever of tomato sauce. So, but think about it. If you're Rayo's right now, what are you doing? Like, you're like, we did that commercial. It must have just been a one-off or something, right?
I don't know. Like, what happens? This all looks so silly. And then he's going to do appearances for 10K. Then the next week he wins player of the week with 158 fucking passing yards. And then it goes up to 20K. Then he has to make up for it. He says he's not going to go. Then he goes back, and now Rayo's. And then he looked like an undrafted guy there on Christmas.
No, he did. And what sucks is that the best case scenario for him was to be the backup. Like, if he could have actually just been good enough to be the backup, his career is golden. He could have, he'll still be marketable. As long as you're in New Jersey, a kid from New Jersey, you're living with your parents.
Yeah.
People are going to pay you to do things. Like, that's just the way it is. But if you're this bad, that's not good. And that's where the misfire was. But I don't blame him for doing the commercial. Now, the commercial, whoever was directing that, you are not Italian and you have no idea what you're doing. Because it made him look like a parody, which I didn't like. I do the parodies.
It was actually, it was very Daniel Jones-esque.
Just like literally no enthusiasm, no like charisma, no nothing really. That's just Daniel Jones. He's just, he's this with zero salt or
he's doing his best, all right? Listen, he didn't ask to get drafted in the first round. That's all Gettleman. And which, yesterday or 2 days ago, Gettleman anniversary of 2017 when we decided to bring that nightmare onto our franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for him, but I don't, because he's making 40 mil. But like, what are you going to do? It's just time to move on. It just sucks that we got to pay him another year. But I think the writing's on the wall. He just can't come back. I mean, even just his neck alone, like, you can't. How are you going to keep putting someone out there? It's 2 times with the neck. It's going to happen the third, right?
So do you want to draft a quarterback?
Oh, man. I mean, it's really tough. I think they have to. I think they have to.
I don't know if they have a choice, right? At this point, because Tyrod's going to be on his way. You have Daniel, who isn't guaranteed to start. we've watched DeVito. So unless they sign a vet, like, what are we doing here?
And here's the thing, though. They've played good enough recently to think that if you do have someone that is a game changer, the team could actually continually make a run and you could actually start building on it. I think they have to draft a QB. I think they're like 1 or 2 spots a little too high. And I think we might be setting ourselves up for another miss, which sucks. But that's honestly what the Giants story has been for how many years. It's just like, oh, we won that extra game. Great. And we missed out on who we needed to get. Or we just, put ourselves in a position where we had to use our brains to make a pick and we made the wrong one. So I think they have to.
It's frustrating because I think that we always are winning that extra game, like going to the playoffs, then going to the Eagles, which in hindsight is hilarious the way they beat the shit out of us when we went to the link during the playoffs. And then looking back at this Christmas game, it's just very funny to look at. But it's so frustrating because I think we really are only I think we have a very solid foundation of some key pieces. So we have a lot of good players, but then the parts that are shitty are so bad. Like how we are still dealing with the O-line is out of control.
Right. And the O-line, we talked about the last time I was on how it was going to be a problem. But then you look at a guy like Jalen Hyatt and you're like, how does this guy not have a better season? Like you see the flashes with nobody's throwing to him. It's like, that's why it's like, you got to get the quarterback in here. You got to hit on it. Maybe you have to go up and get him. I don't know. But you can't. No more half measures. If you're taking the 4th best QB in the draft, I would say there's an 80% chance in the NFL that guy's not going to be the guy. You need to strike lightning. You that's what has to happen. I don't know. I'm really, this is probably the most interesting New York Giant draft since the Daniel Jones, however long that was.
And I will be there. It's actually in Michigan. So at least for me, at least I knew we weren't going to be great, but at least I'm going to see probably a great draft pick, or I'm going to be miserable. I've had a couple of those drafts where it's not as exciting, but my gut is telling me, I don't know what it is, unless somehow we move up the draft board a little bit more. Keep an eye on that Leo Williams, that 2nd round pick that we got from the Seahawks. I think that there is, I can't stop thinking about it. And I think that we end up taking a quarterback, but I don't think it's with that first pick.
If we take a quarterback in the I'm fine with that. That first round, we have to hit. It needs to be an impact player. It needs to be someone that changes the way the Giants play football on Sundays. Whether it's an edge or someone and not like a Thibodeau. You need someone to come in and be an absolute stud.
And it makes me sick to think that they could use that pick again on the O-line. That makes me sick. How many picks we've wasted now is out of control.
Right. And they've been serviceable, but it's the team is so broken around it and then they can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got it rough. How you doing? How's
everything? Listen, this is a threat, but not a threat because I don't want my YouTube channel to get taken down. But if we do not fire Bobby Johnson, I promise you I'm burning that life down. I mean that.
What
gotta go.
Is that what gives you the most anxiety right now?
You know what it is? I tweeted last night about this. Watching these teams, it's not that I see how a lot of these teams are light years ahead of where the Giants are. Although I think we have the pieces to put something together because we've seen that happen this season. Our special teams, zero excuse anymore. I'm done. I cannot take how shitty our special teams is. But there's nothing you can do about that in the draft. I just don't understand. We even went out and hired Joe Judge, the special teams guy, and our special teams still sucked when we had him.
What's funny about that is that the way we look at our teams, other fan bases look at their teams as well. I always say that to myself out loud because obviously being New York fans, you're way more critical, right? Yeah. But everyone is saying this about their own team, unless you're even the Niners. Look, the Niners got exposed, right? They got beat down, and before that game, everyone was like, they're just a different level. Then all of a sudden this happens. What do you think their fan base is saying right now? It's a shit show across the board. I just wish the Giants, I just want some stability, man. Just give me 2 years in a row. Maybe open the season 2 years in a row with opening day wins. Let's just get some
momentum. I want to see some touchdowns. I don't want to get blown out. I don't want to see these mistakes on special teams. I want to see the O-line be I just want an average O-line. I don't know. I'm not really asking for much because even since they drafted Daniel Jones, you look at the ranking of our O-line and it's like 19th, 31st, 30th, 32nd. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, what are we doing here? And why did you draft a guy first if you're not going to address it?
Right. You need an all-world person to overcome a bad O-line. I mean, look what happened to Mahomes, right? Everyone's like, he's incredible. Look at the Chiefs right now. They can't figure it out. That piece of shit, that loser Travis Kelce, like he's a nothing when they don't have everything going on. And he screwed me over. He's gonna screw the Chiefs over, probably. Screw over Taylor.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
brought back to him.
Do you think this is the darkest of your Giants fandom?
Or no? I would say I feel like we have a chance to come out of it soon.
I think so too.
So no, definitely not. Especially not with Tommy. Not having Tommy, this year. It really wasn't. At least this year was somewhat interesting. Yeah. I would say like the second year of Saquon was like the worst.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was terrible. Like the early years of Saquon were horrendous. Like I think like when that all went down and everything like that. I would say like, I mean, it's been bad for a long time. I don't know what to tell you.
Ever since Flacco shot himself, I knew we were fucked. Like
I know you always say.
I just feel like because we would have ran it back. I know it. I don't care. You guys can think about whatever you want. I promise you we would have. And I was so in love with Flacco. He really hurt my feelings. Let's talk about the game this week. General feelings about the Rams because they're hot right now.
I think we get smoked, but smoked in a good way. In like they're just better than us, so we can't win. That's what it's going to be. I don't think we're going to embarrass ourselves. I think with Tyrod, like their structure in the offense, he's going to limit as many potential mistakes that he could make. The offense will look different, so the Rams are going to have to adjust because they don't have Tommy behind center like an Italian, just fucking like stiff ass sausage just standing there, right? So I think it'll be okay. We will lose the game as we should, but I would say Kyren Williams probably has like 2 touchdowns, maybe.
Am I fucking sick to think we could cover this game? Like, what is wrong with me? That's so messed up. I just think it's possible.
You've been doing good though. You've been doing good. You've been hitting. I
know. But listen, I try to stay away from the Giants, and the nerds will tell you the Giants' defense is bad, but that's not what I'm seeing on the field. Like, I get it. Show me all your numbers. They're at least an average defense, and I won't take anyone else's little numbers.
They can make plays. The defense can make plays. I'm not as concerned about the defense. I'm more concerned with the fact that the offense has no identity, no flow, and no consistency.
Which is so hilarious because going into this season, everyone's concern was our defense. Oh no, their defense, too young, the secondary, all the depth issues, blah, 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 blah. And no one was as worried about our offense. And then you look now and it's like our defense got us through this season.
Yeah, there were no concerns with the offense so much that we had to bring in a kid that was living with his parents that has an Italian heritage and just strap our entire franchise to him.
I just don't understand how it's so frustrating also to watch other franchises. They bring Joe Schmo, literally Joe Flacco, out of the retirement home and they're going to playoffs. Like, we don't get that luck. It doesn't go that way for us.
And we're not even like the Steelers. Like Tomlin has a winning record every single year. How does that happen? I don't look at their team and say, oh my God, but they just figure it out. They just win. And we just
Are you I'm kind of against us like going out. You see on Twitter, everyone's talking about Russell Wilson, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't want a Russell Wilson. I've seen a couple Justin Herbert I think that we need to let Dable get his guy, mold the guy, kind of like you saw him do with Josh Allen, and let us go on our way that way.
Has to be through the draft. Can't bring someone into this circus and have it work. You're trying to keep putting Band-Aids on. We putting Band-Aids on. That's the Derek Carr approach. The Derek Carr approach will never work. He's the poster child for if you don't want to win a Super Bowl and you think you want to have a team that looks like a respectable football team, you sign Derek Carr. And that's what the Saints have done, and they will never sniff a Super Bowl.
He's really just like not good. I don't know how but does the media leak into everyone's brains that they convince them about some of these quarterbacks?
They want to because they want to make the NFL interesting. Well,
okay, last one. Would you take Justin Fields?
How long is this? Kind of like how long? What am I doing? Like,
I
probably would.
I think I would too.
I would.
I think he's the one, and I haven't said that yet out loud because I don't listen. Everyone on X, whatever it is, I don't want to deal with you. But I think he might be the only one I would be like, yeah, I'll take him.
He's the only one that could pull himself from the pit of despair and become a superstar in the NFL.
But I'm not giving up Kayvon or any of the like studs to get him. Like I don't care.
You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to. I mean, they're gonna take Caleb Williams or whoever, right? Like you have leverage there. Like, okay, what are you gonna do with this guy? We'll take him, but we're not gonna give you our best guy. But Fields can change. I would watch him every Sunday, shitty or not. And the Bears were a dumpster fire themselves, so maybe we're just less of a dumpster fire.
At least it's a little, but they look like way more of a functioning team than the Giants have looked lately. It's not, we're not seeing what they're doing on the field.
Yeah, but what I see him do with more out there, like I'm like, let Jalen Hyatt and him. I would bring in Justin Fields and say we don't need I would just roll with him for a couple and just see what the fuck happens.
The fun thing is we get to at least like root for the Eagles and the Cowboys to not win games. Like that's what my playoff picture will look like is hoping that they don't make it to the Super Bowl, because that would be just the absolute death of me. If you had to pick right now, who goes to the Super Bowl?
Like out of the NFC, I mean, I still think the Niners.
Okay.
Oh my God, I know. Idea.
It's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna stick. I think I stick with my Ravens for right now, but I'm telling everyone, watch out for those Rams because they're getting hot at the right time, and that shit makes me nervous.
I hope it's the Ravens.
Yeah.
I want it to be the Ravens. I think they will deliver the best game regardless of any team in the AFC right now. I would love the Bills to make a run if they could do it, pull it off, but I think the Ravens are the safest bet. And I just want the Chiefs to go down in flames because I went down in flames.
And they've been flirting with it for a little bit, and I'm loving it. I'm loving all the tantrums on the sideline. You have to pick one right now: chicken cutlets or meatballs?
Oh, cutlets.
Easily, right? Yeah.
Easily. It's not even on them.
You're the best. I'm glad that you were able to come on, let everyone know where they can find you and whatever you're working on right now, because you're doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing. Follow me at Nicky the Good on Twitter and TikTok. On TikTok, I'm really trying to blow up and trying to become the next, the 5,000th Italian person to go viral on that thing. So TikTok and Twitter at Nicky the Good. Do a little wrestling podcast with Meat Pop Express every Friday. And that's pretty much it. But I'm on the bird a lot, man. I'm an early morning dude. I'm a dad, and just check me out there. I feel like I'm a good follow. So check me out on the bird.
You're the best follow. I've been waking up at your hour lately, so that's been nice. I'll get you back on once this misery of a season is done. I'll let you get out of here and enjoy your Friday. You got dad shit to do.
I do. Goodbye, Steph. Crazy.
Now we got to talk player props. It's week 17, so we know Money's Munaf is coming on. Munaf, what's up? It's my second time seeing you today.
God, lucky me, huh? What's going on? It's Friday. It's week 17. Can't believe we only have 2 weeks left. But
how did that happen?
It just honestly flew by, and especially for me, like NBA season rolls around, everything just turns into like a big old clusterfuck. But here we are.
Yeah, I'm back to the Giant. Once again, disappointing season, and then I go right into PGA and NBA. So it's all right. It happens fast. I'm gonna miss NFL when it does pass by. Before we talk about some props, talk to me about the Texans this week. Like, am I taking Nico Collins props? Like, is Stroud fully healthy? What's the deal? Because I'm ready for like a Stroud masterclass this week. That's what I want.
Yeah, CJ is back. He's going to be starting. He passed concussion protocol. I believe Nico is playing in this game as well. I think there's still hope for us to get into a playoff spot, at least. Even not. I mean, last week's loss was a little bit tough. Obviously, going up against the Cleveland Browns, they're just bulldozing everybody right now. Right. But we get CJ back. Obviously, that's only going to help the situation. Nico is back as well. Wish we still had Tank. Tank's been our guy all season long, but we're still trying. If we can win out and get some help, who knows? We may be in the conversation for the division as well. So, still a lot to play for this team, at least after what's transpired over the past several seasons for this Texans team. So it's a breath of fresh air. So yeah, I would definitely look at the Texans this week and maybe get back on the CJ Stroud horse.
Yeah, hell yeah. I am. They're like they're the last little thing I have left in this season to root for, because the Giants are obviously the Giants. Give me a player prop that you are interested in this week, because I actually like a lot this week. Last week didn't love a lot. This week I'm back on. There's quite a few things I like.
Yeah, let's go to that game between the Saints and the Buccaneers. And this is something that you and I have talked about a lot on your show here, is that this Bucks defense, secondary at least, has been absolutely putrid, and they've given up the yards to a lot of the number one wide receivers that they have faced. I know they faced the Texans, a couple weeks ago, and both Nico Collins and Tank Dell in that game had absolutely huge weeks. They had 100 plus receiving yards, both of those guys. And now the Buccaneers, they're going to get Chris Olave coming to town. And you kind of just go through the number stuff between the wide receivers that the Buccaneers have faced over the past several weeks. So last week, I talked about, God, who do they have last week?
The Bucks,
the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. I was on Calvin Ridley last week. It took a little bit for him to get going, but he finished that game with 90 yards. The prior week, Jaden Reed had 52, 97 for Davion Wicks. We talked about Drake London. He had 10 receptions, 172 yards against the Buccaneers. So you kind of see where I'm getting at here. So Chris Olave over 70.5 receiving yards. If you want to ladder this one up and have some fun with it, gets you some nice plus odds. I love Chris Olave this week. If he's on your fantasy team, you are probably going to be licking your chops after this game is over.
Yeah, I'm with you. You actually led me into my dad bet for my quad Ds on Sunday. I'm going back to Shaheed, longest reception over 16.5. As I wrote in my notes after a couple cocktails last night, he's turning into their deep ball daddy. That's what it says right there. But yeah, you nailed it. The Bucs secondary is extremely weak. We've seen it all season long. He's gone over 2 straight weeks, 3 of the last 6. I like the involvement that Shaheed has, and they're willing to take the long shots downfield for him. Also in that game, Mike Evans, I mentioned it when I jumped on with you. No Lattimore, a little bit of a treat because we don't normally get that. Plays very, without Lattimore there, for some reason, that's his kryptonite. So no Lattimore, like Mike Evans, if you want to take him to go over his yards as well. What do you think about those two?
Yeah, you mentioned it with Lattimore not there. He's had success against Mike Evans, but him not being there, I expect Mike Evans to continue, doing what he's been doing, not only this season, but all throughout his career, right? Was it like 10 straight seasons? Now he's had at least 1,000 receiving yards for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So love it.
And then you mentioned under too this year. That's probably my worst future bet. But I'm so negative. All good things have to come to an end at some point, right?
Yeah, but I think it was also like the quarterback uncertainty for this team, 100%. Right? So after Tom Brady left, like, were you going to put your faith in Baker Mayfield? Right. Probably not at the beginning of the season, but he's having a really good season as well. But you mentioned
earning himself a contract. What else are you looking at this week?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Rashid Shaheed as well. I like the longest receptions for him to go over. He's been their downfield threat as well. Brock Purdy, I think this is a good bounce back week for him. Going up against his Commanders defense. I've talked a lot about the Commanders defense on my show. I know you like the longest receptions, but I like his passing yards to go over in this game, Steph, and then also his longest completion to go over, whether it's to Debo, whether it's Brandon Ayuk, whether it's George Kittle, even if it's Christian McCaffrey. I think this is going to be a huge Brock Purdy week. I think those odds that shifted last week when we talked about Lamar Jackson taking over as a MVP favorite, maybe they come back in a little bit of a favor of Brock Purdy after he's done in this game. I won't be surprised if he has 300 plus passing yards, 3 plus touchdowns in this game. I think that the offense for the Niners is going to be on full display against his Commanders defense. So give me Brock Purdy overs on his passing yards and longest completion to go over as well.
I like it. And if I'm the 49ers, to be completely honest, I'd rather lose in season. And then when I face them again, go in there, clean slate, show them what's up. Jaron Hall, finally, week back. 14. I thought he would be back. It didn't happen. Dobbs kind of messed that up a little bit. Bet on him. What did he play? I mean, God, it was versus Atlanta weeks and weeks ago. Had 11 rushing yards on 2 attempts before he got knocked out. He's a mobile guy, and they set this rushing yard line. It was 13.5 that first time that he started. It's 26.5. I'm in. Like, I might make this my dog. I've decided because I don't love a lot of the money line dogs this week. But I mean, they gave Tommy DeVito 71 rushing yards, 158 passing yards, and he became player of the week. So I think this is pretty easy, especially for a guy when they come in. don't know what they're doing, just take off, especially a mobile guy like Jaren Hall. And he looked pretty good. He had 2 good drives there of what we saw from him. So I think he goes over this 26.5.
Yeah, again, for some of these third string quarterbacks that are coming in, right? If their first read is not there, the second read is not there, their inclination is going to be to just kind of take off. And going up against this Packers rush defense, I mean, they've been putrid all season long, but they've given up the yards to, like you mentioned, they gave it up to Tommy DeVito even that week prior. Patrick Mahomes had 26. Justin Herbert, 8 for 73 a while back. So yeah, I definitely do love it.
Their defense looked good for like a 4-week stretch, and then it kind of went back to what we saw in the beginning of the season, because I was touting their defense quite a bit. I think it might have been the opponents that they had more than the defense itself. But they haven't looked great as of late. What else are you looking at here?
I know we talked about Tyrod Taylor on my show when you when you came on there to talk about his rushing yards. And I think, I mentioned on my show is the first thing I saw when Tyrod Taylor was named the starting quarterback for the Giants. I messaged you and I was like, hey, we got to get on Tyrod Taylor's rushing yards to go over. So that's one I do like. I think that number is at 26.5, 28.5. But again, this is the guy that historically in his career, we've seen him. He loves to scramble. Going up against this Rams rush or pass rush with Aaron Donald, if he's coming down his throat, his inclination is going to be to take off as well. So I think that there may be some opportunities here to ladder some of these quarterback rushing yards up. You mentioned Jaren Hall. I know I'm sure you like Tyrod Taylor as well. So I think there's a good opportunity for him to get some rushing yards here. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'll just throw in there because I know we talked about it. And if you guys haven't checked that out, you can go check it out on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. But Tyrod in general, like there's probably not an over that you won't find me taking. Because again, now we're getting into the weeks where people are either players are either playing for like a bonus or they're playing for an extension like a Baker Mayfield, or they're playing for a contract like a Tyrod Taylor. So 195.5 passing yards. I think he goes over that with ease, even if you want to look at his pass attempts, not opposed to that. I'm going to give you an interesting one. And this is a little bit more of a risky bet, but I just like the plus 100 on it. So Noah Gray, 1.5 receptions to go over. So I found myself, and I think it's exhausted at this point. You see it all over that since he is not good against the opposing tight end. We know that very well. But there's been a couple times where I haven't quite picked the right tight end because I go the tight end 1 and then you see the tight end 2 come in. So I think for him to get 2 receptions here and to go over the 11.5 yards, I think those go hand in hand. So I actually think I like both of those bets.
I think if you're Cincinnati, your game plan is probably going to be, let's try to contain Travis Kelce. And that gives the opportunity for guys like Noah Gray, Justin Watson on this team, right? And it's 1.5 at even money for a reason, because if you just kind of go through his game log, like it's nothing, it's not pretty.
Nothing impressive.
Yeah, because he's only had 2 receptions in 2 of the last 5 games, and the targets, he hasn't had more than 3 in any of the last 5 games. So that kind of tells me what the books are thinking, that, hey, if it's Travis Kelce's going to be slowed down in this game by that defense, that opens up opportunities for guys like Noah Gray. So yeah, I can definitely see him. It's just 2 catches, man. Just get us 2 catches.
Absolutely. And I like finding, listen, low line right there. You need 2 catches, not much, not asking for much there. Again, if you want to take the receiving yards, I think they go hand in hand. Probably could parlay them too. What else are you looking at this week?
D-Hop, he's back in Houston.
Woo-hoo.
I believe this is his first game back in Houston since getting traded to the Cardinals. Woo-hoo. Obviously, now with the Titans. I saw his number. Let me just make sure, because I got a 58.5. Yeah, it's at 59.5 right now. I believe it is Will Levis back at the starting quarterback position, if I'm not mistaken.
Mayo boy, allegedly, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that he's going to want to show out against his former team in the, where he started his career for an extensive amount of time. I know they matched up 3 weeks ago. He did have 9 targets in that game, but he only had 21 receiving yards. But I think this is a game where obviously weather's not a factor in Houston because they do play in the Dome. I think he'll show out here. And also the Titans are going to be in a revenge factor here because the Texans went in there in overtime and got the victory. And they probably want to play a little bit of a spoiler here, trying to ruin their playoff chances. But I do think that this is an opportunity that if Will Levis is starting for the Titans, you'll see him get a lot more targets. And I think the yardage will rack up. So I'll take D-Hop over 59.5 against my Texans.
Yeah, absolutely. I know listen, You're going to hear longest reception a lot from me the rest of the show, but even his longest reception, we know Will Levis loves to take those shots downfield as well. I'm going to run through my Saturday triple Ds with you quick.
All right.
And let me know any questions, comments, concerns about them. Okay. So dad bet. Hate making a Cowboy a dad, but that's fine. We got Brandon Cooks. I like his longest reception. I got it at 18.5. It's on the market right now. 19.5 minus 114. Lions are giving up a lot of these long receptions here. You even look at last week, Osborne, 47 yards, Jefferson, 29, Hawkinson, 24. I bet if Addison didn't get hurt, he probably would be in those names as well. And you look at Cooks, at home versus away, and even the last 3 games at home, longest receptions were 30, 19, 31. Then you look at his yards. It's kind of night and day between the two. And then Dud, starting to feel like a little bit of a chalky pick now that I'm scrolling Twitter a little bit more. But Tony Pollard under 58.5 rushing yards, minus 115. I think we can all agree. He's looked better. But I think since that injury last season, we haven't quite seen Tony Pollard of the top Tony Pollard we thought when we were drafting him in fantasy. And the Lions have been really good at stopping the run. Like all but 3 opposing running backs have stayed under this number here. Eckler had 67, Edwards 64, Jacobs 61. So still relatively around that number, not going far over that. And the last 3, Chandler 17, Jones 18, Pacheco 23. So 58.5 actually feels a little high. So I think the under right there is a smash. Comments about either of those before I tell you my dumb fuck bet?
I love the Tony Pollard one because of everything that you just mentioned there, right? They are only allowing 90 rushing yards per game, are the Detroit Lions. We know their front 7 is really good. It's just that the back end of their defense, the secondary and the safety positions is where they're getting whacked. So I think this might be a game where you see Dak Prescott look really good. And if you want to look at his over on his passing yard, but as far as Tony Pollard goes, running the footballs, he's not going to have a lot of success. If he does have success in this game, he's probably going to be through the air for Tony Pollard. And then you said, what was it, Brandon Cooks you mentioned?
Yeah, I like his longest reception. His yards are fine too. For me, some of these guys like this feels a little bit safer to take those longest reception.
Yeah, and him being with the Houston Texans for, I think it was the last 3 seasons at least, he was a downfield threat. If his yards are going to rack up, it's going to be on a long reception down the field or him using his speed to find the end zone or rack up yards that way. So, I can't argue against either one of those.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a good game out of this one, or at least I'm hoping. So my dumb fuck bet, only dumb because I put 5 units on it, so I feel very confident in it. That's the dumb part because I do think it's a good bet. I don't recommend anyone take this bet and put 5 units on it. That was me, again, getting a little bit excited, but this bet hits almost every single week. I posted on Pikkit last night. If you don't follow me on there, get on there. The books have been little rats too about this line. So I went on, I'm going to bet Jahmyr Gibbs longest rush. Go on, I see an 11.5. Right when I go to bet it, it's pulled. Then they don't post anything. So there's only one book right now that has it out. It's at 15.5. If you saw it on Pikkit, you got it at the 14.5, like I did at minus 114. He's gone over 5 straight. If you want to attack the Cowboys, how do you do that? Look at what James Cook did to them 2 weeks ago. They're very weak against the run, and I think that Gibbs could have a really, really good day against them. So I think to go over that 14.5, again, when he breaks one off, he breaks one off.
So you're responsible for moving the line then from 11.
I think I am. I don't know if I have that power yet, but I think I'm getting there because a couple times I've seen this happen now.
Jahmyr Gibbs is, between him and David Montgomery, David Montgomery is the guy that gets the bulk of the carries. But if there is one guy from these 2 running backs who uses his speed, obviously they drafted him very, very early for a reason. And again, more times than, like you mentioned, he's done it in 5 straight weeks. And again, this Cowboys defense, I'm not sold on it. I know there was a lot of hype about them throughout the season, but they're going to get exposed, and they have been over the past several weeks. And we've seen that at home, right? The Dallas Cowboys, these games turn into shootouts. They average a lot more points at home than they do on the road here. But Detroit Lions in a dome where they're used to playing, obviously in Ford Field, having a fast running back like Jahmyr Gibbs, the numbers are there. I don't hate it. Maybe not for 5 units like you did.
they could still get the 1 seed. Like there's still a path to that. So I think that, you know, people thought that you're going to start getting them, you know, resting, no, like that's not going to happen because this team is still fighting for that 1 seed there. Any other props before I start letting you get out of here to enjoy your Friday?
I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, I think if you really want to take overs, I think take a look at the 49ers players, whether it's CMC on his receiving yards, Brandon Ayuk. I think that's a game, but I think that is, I think that's the ones that my favorite ones, at least I always say for your show. So those were the ones that I love this week.
Which I appreciate that, of course. I'll tell you my dumb fuck bet for Sunday.
Okay.
I have you. This is actually a dumb fuck bet, but another thing that we know I love is interception props. So I made an interception parlay.
Okay.
737. Minshew, Stafford, and Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, I mean, do we need an explanation there? No.
Yeah, and New England's looked good. And Stafford, 4 clean games. I said it. It's got to happen now, unfortunately. Stafford's on fire, going to be passing a lot. He's going to throw one this week. And Minshew,
on the road. Yeah, on the road. West Coast to East Coast in outdoor weather. Stafford, definitely can see that. And then you mentioned Gardner Minshew. If he had a great game last week, I think he'll regress a little bit. I know they lost last week against the Falcons, but the amount of times that they have Gardner Minshew just throwing the football out there, I think that he's in line for one as well. He's had one. He's been alternating between weeks of throwing one, but I think this might be another week where he does throw one. I'll throw one here that I do like, especially because it's at plus odds. And I want to just make sure it is still at plus odds or even money. Was Geno Smith.
I knew it. Look at how well do I know you? I knew it. I love
plus
that as
well.
well.
Like, what are we doing here?
I don't know. I almost made this parlay, but since I do a Sunday and a Saturday, I actually think doing Goff, Geno, Gardner is quite the parlay itself as well.
Yeah. So you'll get even better odds, obviously, with a plus money quarterback in Geno Smith here. So yeah, why not? Geno Smith, throw him in the parlay here as well. So yeah, I love it.
You heard it. Geno Smith throwing an interception. You're the best at Munaf. We'll get you back on next week. Be sure to follow him. If you don't, go listen to that show too. More player props. That's what you guys are all here for. Go enjoy your Friday. I'll see you next week.
I'll talk to you. Have a great weekend, Steph.
See ya. And now I get to see producer Ryan's beautiful face.
Oh, hello. How's it going?
How's it going? How are you?
That's good. I'm excited. We're at spitting distance from the new year. I'm getting excited. I have a bone to pick with you though, right off the top.
Great. What
did you say that you're gonna make Jared Hall's rushing yards your dog pick?
Okay,
we gotta have some rules. We gotta have some rules to this.
Everyone settle down. I know. This is why I saved the Sunday Quad Ds, because I literally have it bolded Ryan. Like I knew we had to have a discussion. Here's my issue. We know how people get pissy when you give out old numbers. I don't like any of the dogs at the numbers right now. I don't like I don't like anything about it. So I can offer you something better than Jaren Hall, and I will let you make the decision.
Okay.
But it's going to be Jalen Hyatt to go over his receiving yards. And we got to make him a dog. So is Jaren Hall a dog or is Jalen Hyatt a dog? You decide.
Well, I feel like if it's not at plus money, it's not a dog. You know, I mean, while I was watching you, I put money on Jaren Hall's over rushing yards, and it's at minus 125. So that's not a dog.
Well, it's not my fault. I'm moving lines now. It's not my fault that I'm so influential that the lines are moving. Fine. I will get you
something to think about. Just something to think about.
I will get you an alt line for either Jalen Hyatt or Jaren Hall. Jalen Hyatt, I like his receiving. Maybe look to take him over 40 yards if that makes everyone feel better. But maybe I will look at Jaren Hall. Let's see. I'll even pull one up right now for you. Let's see what we can get in Jaren Hall. Watch me jinx him, and this poor kid's going to get fucking injured because I bet him his rushing yards again. Oh, here. Over 30 and a half rushing yards, plus 130. Does that tickle your fancy? Done.
That tickles my fancy quite well. Thank you.
Tickles your fancy. I don't know where that one came from. But do you want me to run through the quad Ds quick for Sunday too? Because I know I did the triple Ds. But
let's do this.
Okay. Dad this is still Saturday. What are we doing here? Dad, Shaheed, longest reception over 16.5. Dud, Aaron Jones, under 53.5 rushing yards. Dog, I was corrected. We're going to take Hall over, what did I say? 30.5 rushing yards plus 130. And dumb fuck, we have an interception parlay plus 737. If you find a better number on it, write it in the comments or in the chat, whatever you desire. Gardner Minshew, Stafford, and Allen.
Now see that you now you're playing by your own rules. Yeah. I love this. I love this. All right.
Now I want to get a little spicy. You know, this is the last show before the new year. Go out with a bang.
Going out with a bang. Well, you know what? Going out with a bang. Let's get to some questions.
Let's do it.
First question. This is from our guy Frank Amarante on Twitter at
Amarante.
Amarante TFJ. Do you think Flacco will win comeback player of the year over Hamlin?
It's such a stupid. This is not. I was going to make it not so funny. They both came back from the dead, which is not funny. But DeMar obviously overcame much more than Flacco did. He's just old. Some of us are struggling with our age these days. I think they need to make a most improved. Like they need a most improved player award, like or some type of award where like players that got injured get this award and they fall into this category, and then the most improved, like Baker should be in the discussion for it too. Like I don't know. Yeah. I said it on the show. I've said it a couple of times. I'm not fully bought into Flacco because he's 38, and I just think like at some point we're gonna see him come back down, but maybe not. Maybe he wins a fucking Super Bowl.
All right. Joe Flacco. Maybe
you kind of look like Joe Flacco.
Wait, what?
A little bit.
How do I look like Joe
Anyone
Flacco?
See it? I just feel like a little bit you look like him, kind of.
Because I'm old?
Maybe because you have a gray beard. I don't know. No, I don't know. I feel like you kind of look like Joe Flacco. No? Chat's gonna be like,
I've never heard that before, but I'll take it. All right. Question 2. Why play the devil's advocate here? This is from Straw Wheat. Why do you feel DeVito should remain the starter for the Giants?
I don't.
You don't, but play the devil's advocate here. Why should he?
If you want to play the devil's advocate, it's the same thing I've said a couple times about like the Vikings too. See what you have in a backup. You've got a young guy. They're cheaper than a vet. Like I get it. But like at the same time, it's hard to go out. Like I don't know that DeVito should really be on an NFL roster. Like I struggle. No, like I don't
not even as a backup.
I think there was a lot of mania around him. I think as a backup, yes, but like if you're expecting him to play over that 3-game threshold, you're getting that. Like you're getting what you saw.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not pretty.
Fair enough. Final question. This is a wordy one.
The chat thinks you look like Flacco too. Producer Flacco. Look at it.
Oh no. Oh, I mean, okay. Producer Flacco. Nate Dogg thinks I look like Flacco. All right. Well, there you go. This is from Dennis Johnson. Will the Saints beat the Broncos on the road on Sunday to keep their playoff hopes alive? There's more to this question, but it pretty much just says the same thing. Will the Saints beat the Bucs?
Oh, I thought you said the Broncos. I'm like, I swear to God, if I messed up another video and said the Broncos were playing the Chargers, I'm going to be so
Did I fuck that up? I might have said
the
Broncos.
No. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I am so out on the Saints. I think they're one of the more overrated teams. Like the media just keeps like everyone's expecting Drew Brees to like pop up, and this is like this team that we're used to. I don't think the Saints are that good, so I'm kind of on the Bucs this week, I believe.
On the Bucs.
When did I become a Saints hater? I don't know, but that is one of my new identities, apparently.
Yeah, we put up a Saints are frauds video from our man Jason Gold, and it's done very well. A lot of people commenting on it. So there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we got for today. Yeah. This is our last show. Say something revelatory for our last show of the new year, Steph.
Remember to drink water before, and don't drink and drive. We don't drink and drive. Don't do that. Start journaling. I started journaling. I recommend it. You could sage like producer Ryan here. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate everyone for trekking on this journey with us. We're going into year 2, even though we only did a couple months of this, but I'm excited to see where the show goes.
Me too.
It's gonna be awesome.
All right. Yeah, come back. Are we gonna do a New Year's Day show? We don't know yet. We might do a New Year's Day show.
Write in the comments if you would watch a New Year's Day show. Because I will be hungover as hell and do a New Year's show for you guys.
Yeah.
With producer Flacco.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's get out of here. Enjoy your Friday. Be safe this weekend. Drink a ton of noons and win some monies.
Watch him make it, break it, break it, break it.